turned out. Yeah, she turned. Hey. Hey, yo, what's good, you guys? It's Boomer with Balenciaga, and today we're getting into the Balenciaga rabbit hole is deep, man. So, yeah, Balenciaga. Not only that, but all these other fashion brands, bro, because they're all under the same umbrella. I just found that out today. You know, they're under, I think it was like a guy. It's like, I don't know, some French name or something. I don't know. But, yeah. Or maybe, like, that guy's a company, on some, like, freaking Steve Madden type-ish. You know what I'm saying? But, yeah, man. This is what they doing, bro. That's crazy, man. But yeah, let's get straight on into it, bro. Make sure y'all hit that like button, just below the video, subscribe if you're new, so that way you can join up with the all-star gang up in this thing. And let's get straight on into this, man. Let's go.
November 16th, 2022, world-renowned century-old high-fashion brand Balenciaga dropped their holiday season ad campaign for 2022, titled Gift Shop. The campaign quickly went viral due to the public becoming concerned, then outraged, over the fact that the ad campaign was centered around photos featuring children holding teddy bears that had black eyes, fishnets, harnesses, or were overall BDSM themed. News sites almost immediately labeled the social media outrage as a wacky conspiracy theory, but this did not stop the iconic brand from making multiple apology statements and removing all of the advertisements. And
it's funny because they even try to pin it on the marketing, bro. I'm like, they try to sue the marketing.
Days, as people began to dig deeper into the company's internet activity over the years, the brand abruptly removed their Twitter handle and nuked their Instagram account, which is sitting at over 14 million followers. So, what were they trying to hide? Was this just a surface-level instance of bad taste, a reckless mistake, or a representation of a dark element among the elite inner circle of the fashion industry? In this video, I'll be covering every bit of relevant information I could find while watching this play out over the last couple weeks. Even if this were a one-time incident, I'd still have a lot of questions due to the amount of scrutiny and planning that goes into these luxury brand ad campaigns. Every detail is carefully pored over by artists, editors, designers...
You know they doing this like just to get back at Kanye too, bro.
and often full committees to ensure success. Meaning that even if the gift shop holiday ad campaign pictures were the only issue, it would still be a major red flag. In a few moments, I'll highlight some of the strange references, of which there are many, in the holiday ad campaign photos. But first, let's take a look at the ad campaign that dropped 5 days after Gift Shop. This was the 2023 Guard Robe campaign. In my opinion, some of the most shocking details were found when visiting the website's homepage and saw the 2023 Guard Robe photos. The homepage featured this photo, a promotional image advertising a collaborative campaign with Adidas. As you can see, prominently featured in this image is this document. And to break it down simply while also trying not to upset the algorithm, the case document was from the United States v. Williams, a 2008 Supreme Court ruling that upheld part of a federal CP law known as the PROTECT Act, finding it was not in violation of the First Amendment right to free speech or expression. Basically, Michael Williams had been arrested for attempting to sell CP images of his minor daughter to an FBI agent. He was arrested and charged for possession and pandering. Williams tried to argue that his crime, trying to sell exploitative images of his underage daughter, was a protective freedom of expression of some kind under the PROTECT Act of 2003, which protected virtual or animated CP imagery as long as the images were not obscene. But the Supreme Court denied this challenge. So, of all the billions of pages of court documents, the one that shows up front and center in Balenciaga's ad campaign references virtual or animated CP as a protected free speech. What are the odds this was an accident, an oversight? Well, I think the odds get drastically worse when you look at the books in the background of one of the other images from the Guard Robe campaign. The top book is by Michael Borman, who made an art book called Fire from the Sun. Just a warning, don't Google the title as the images may be disturbing. I can't risk showing any of Borman's work from Fire from the Sun because it all consists of children covered in blood, dismembered limbs, and similar disturbing, abusive iconography. Though not all of Borman's work is equally grotesque, much of it evokes a sense of dread, and seems to be centered around submission, dismemberment, blood, shame, and ritual practices. One even shows men performing what looks like cannibalism. When Borman's work was shown at the David Zwirner Gallery, the gallery described Mr. Borman's paintings as, quote, toddlers engaged in playful but mysterious acts with sinister overtones and insinuations of violence. Another book visible in the photo is the Cremaster Cycle. The Cremaster Cycle is a series of 5 feature-length films, sculptures, photographs, drawings, and art books, created by American artist Matthew Barney. The Cremaster Cycle was made over a period of 8 years, 1994 to 2002, and culminated in a major exhibition at the Guggenheim Museum.
I can't watch this and eat,
This was
man.
actually in conjunction with some of Michael Borman's
can't
paintings.
watch this and eat.
Its concept is based on the male cremaster muscle, the primary function of which is to raise and lower the testes in response to temperature. The project is filled with anatomical allusions to the position of the reproductive organs during the embryonic process of sexual differentiation. So, the guy spent 8 years on a multimedia art show about nuts. The 2023 Garderobe campaign was massive and probably had a multi-million-dollar budget, a large staff of designers, administrators, editors, etc. A-list celebrities Nicole Kidman and Bella Hadid as models, and collaborated with one of the biggest name brands in the world, Adidas. Why risk this kind of backlash? Why include the Supreme Court ruling referencing CP? Of all the books to use as props, why use one where children are displayed, drenched in blood, without clothes, in horrifying circumstances? Well, some believe the answer lies with several elite individuals that work at different levels of the iconic fashion brand from design to casting, having connections to a dark, seedy underworld of human trafficking and worse, unspeakable offenses. Before we explore those people, let's break down the images that started all of it, the initial clue that piqued the interest of concerned internet users in mid-November, the gift shop photo shoot. The first couple images of course show children pose with teddy bears that had black eyes, fishnet tops, leather harnesses, or a general BDSM theme, which obviously disturbed many people. It's very strange to think of combining children's items with adult items linked to sex acts, and then to have a child pose with it is at best in extremely poor taste. But this image alone is brimming with strange references. First, of course, we still have the inclusion of the BDSM bear, but look here. In the background, we see the chair has been covered in caution-style Balenciaga tape. In the foreground, we see a roll of the same Balenciaga tape, but it's not the same. This roll has an extra A, spelling Baal. Baal is a Canaanite deity dating back to Carthage in 800 BC, also sometimes referred to as Moloch. People were often worked up into great frenzies at the prospects of displeasing Baal, a god they believed could cause earthquakes and famine. In times of great turbulence, human sacrifices, particularly children, were made to this deity. The Carthaginians didn't want to sacrifice their own children, so eventually they began buying children or raising children as servants to be sacrificed in their own children's place. The mass ritualistic sacrifice of children to Baal was once thought to be a rumor, started by the Roman soldiers in order to make their enemies seem barbaric and cruel. According to the rumors, the children's ashen remains would be placed in small special urns and buried in the funerary Acropolis. However, during recent excavations, a great number of small urns were found covering the area of the funerary Acropolis, buried at 9 different levels, seemingly proving the early existence of Baal worship. To summarize, it's a bizarre inclusion in the same image as a young child. Up on the wall, to the left of the child, we can see a red face. Some theorists were quick to compare this face to the mythical rumored contents of a certain misplaced laptop. We aren't going there, for obvious reasons, but the blood-red face still seems disturbing and out of place. To the right on the wall, we have another odd drawing, this one again featuring the red face, or some kind of demonic horned creature. Then we have the white rabbit. And right above the white rabbit, we can observe probably the most overt example. But what does it all mean? These images feel off for obvious reasons. Some would look right past them, but many people immediately felt as though the brand had crossed a line. Maybe, by taking a look at some of the key players, we can get a better idea of what the intentions behind the photo shoots were. The first person Balenciaga began to shift the blame to was the gift shop photographer, Gabriel Galimberti. The photographer actually made a public statement to the media on November 23rd. Galimberti told Newsweek he is not responsible for the images. Quote, I am not in a position to comment. I am not in a position to comment on Balenciaga's choices, but I must stress that I was not entitled in whatsoever manner to neither choose the products, nor the models, nor the combination of the same. As a photographer, I was only and solely requested to light the given scene and take shots according to my signature style. As usual, the direction of the campaign and of the shooting are not on the hands of the photographer, end quote. Galimberti previously published a photo collection titled Toy Stories that feature children in their home surrounded by their toys. He added to his statement, quote, I suspect that any person prone to pedophilia searches on the web and has unfortunately a too easy access to images completely different than mine, absolutely explicit in their awful content. Lynchings like these are addressed against the wrong targets and distract from the real problem and criminals, end quote. Galimberti also stressed that he was not involved in the Balenciaga Adidas campaign that included the Supreme Court ruling and the art books. Those images were captured by New York City-based photographer Chris Maggio. At the time of recording this video, Maggio has not publicly addressed the backlash to his advertisements. But who is Maggio? Curious Light on Twitter found Maggio through Galimberti's mention of him, and found this photo shoot he did that features a young girl in similar framing to the gift shop photos, a woman with an uncanny valley look, and a picture of a Czech passport on top of a Disney Cruise Line pamphlet. According to some of their old itineraries, Disney Cruises used to use Little St. James Island as a snorkeling stop. During their search into the details of this photo set, Curious Light found that the photos had been styled by Lada Volkova, one of Balenciaga's main stylists, since 2014. Volkova maintained close ties to Gosha Rubchinsky, a streetwear designer that allegedly pressured a 16-year-old minor to send lewd pictures of himself over Instagram. The accusations seem to have been lost in the fray, as Gosha's representative told GQ he often casts young men through Instagram DMs, which according to him is standard. Volkova claims to not have worked closely with Balenciaga for some time, but has also said she works with the brand as a consultant, styling for collections, fashion shows, and in casting. Her style seems to be centered around violence, abuse, and domination, usually featuring very young-looking boys. Like when she posted pictures of a juvenile detention facility, and then what appeared to be real blood on the floor. Or what is obviously a young girl's bedroom, completely torn apart and covered in bloodstains. A completely photorealistic, full frontal of a young boy who has been disemboweled. A young girl who has been taped to a chair. Or an illustration of someone taped face down on a table. Volkova also heavily features teddy bears, including one in bondage ropes. She even posted this image with the hashtag Moloch. A picture shared by Volkova depicts a monstrous bear in the process of consuming a girl. Another image features a creepy, dark, moldy room with a goat head on an upside-down pentagram. The common theme is seemingly constantly a child in danger, distress, or pain. She even posts an image that represents the brain's activity during a pain response. She pretty openly posts images of bathhouses, which are commonly used as brothels. One user speculates that she may be bringing these young boys to these locations. Just 2 hours after Curious Light posted the thread about Volkova, her Instagram went private. Granted, if you began receiving a litany of comments and DMs regarding a potentially career-ending scandal, you may act drastically as well. But there's something about Balenciaga and Volkova deleting their entire social media presences that screams they didn't find it all, get rid of any chance they might. Lada Volkova released a statement claiming that she has not worked with Balenciaga since 2017 and had nothing to do with the latest campaigns, but she has maintained a close relationship with Demna, the creative director at Balenciaga. Demna once said in an interview with GQ, someone wrote that Lada, Gosha, and I grew up on CP and radiation from Chernobyl, which is why we're all so fucked up. Just a month before the public backlash, someone wrote that Lada, Gosha, and I grew up on CP and radiation from Chernobyl, which is why we're all so fucked up. Just a month before the public backlash, Demna praised the brand's popularity, as well as his own, saying that he's no longer interested in making the fashion industry understand him, because the fashion elite now say hi to him. Jane Moseley walked Demna's first Balenciaga fashion show. which also happened to be Jane's first fashion show. But how could she possibly get the gig, modeling for the iconic brand Balenciaga, with zero experience? Jane got the gig through her friend, photographer, and casting agent Rachel Chandler. When Jane casually mentioned to Rachel that she was kind of interested in getting into modeling, Rachel replied immediately, telling Jane to send her some pictures because she was going to put her up for something. That something would turn out to be Demna's first Balenciaga fashion show. Rachel Chandler, daughter of the Chandler family that owned the LA Times for 100 years, apparently holds some mighty influence in the fashion industry, and it's heavily rumored that Rachel narrowly avoided being named publicly in the Ghislaine Maxwell trial as another madam, or procurer of young men and women, even children, to take to Little St. James Island. Here's a photo of Chandler, underage at the time, allegedly on the Lolita Express, Epstein's infamous private jet with former President Bill Clinton. Rachel seems to hold a high profile among the rich and famous, but is rather unknown among the general population. Many theorists have speculated that she may have led some to the island through her modeling agency, the Midland Agency, and if I wasn't paranoid enough, during my search for more mainstream coverage of Rachel, this happened. So what did Balenciaga's celebrity ambassadors have to say in response to the controversy? Well, maybe the most well-known, wealthy, and influential would be Kim Kardashian, who released this statement, which many seem to feel was kind of a lukewarm response, as she addresses that there is definitely an issue, but fails to draw any kind of line as far as her future with the company. I'm aware there are probably contracts and a lot of money on the line, but many were quick to point out that her comments seemed to ring quite hollow, as photos of her child surfaced showing them sporting the very...
Yeah, she's like, I can't believe... Hold on, a little while reading. Okay, this one. The safety of children must be held with the highest regard, and any attempts to normalize child abuse of any kind should have no place in our society. Period. Oh man, what's another one? It's like, yeah, like most of these just sound like PR statements.
Definitely an issue, but fails to draw any kind of line as far as her future with the company. I'm aware there are probably contracts and a lot of money on the line, but many were quick to point out that her comments seemed to ring quite hollow, as photos of her child surfaced showing them sporting the very items that Kim was now distancing herself from. Demna just copied and pasted the company's apology. I find it highly interesting that major news sites immediately reported on the scandal, labeling it as a conspiracy theory, when the company, representatives, and general public are all reacting to the situation like it is anything but a theory. People are worried for the children in the photos, of course, but if this is what they are showing you, what they are willing to put in front of public scrutiny, what are they hiding in the dark? Trying to wrap this video up feels very frustrating because, like many conspiracy theories, the rabbit hole is full of bad information, exaggeration, censorship, and parts of it are just gone, memory hold forever. There is no answer, only an ever-expanding list of connections to dirty money, trafficking, seemingly overt occult references, and some of the worst predators we've ever heard of. Whitney Webb has described Epstein as middle management in a network full of people just as bad as him, and worse. We only ever heard about some of the things he did, and some of the things his madam, Ghislaine Maxwell, did. When you start with BDSM bears with kids, immediately followed by CP Supreme Court document, immediately find associated characters that seem to be very interested in representations of children that are obscene and graphic. I guess you shouldn't be surprised to learn that the creative director of said company is 1 degree of separation from a known trafficking network. If you're paranoid enough, you'd almost think that there is an element within the company that makes these clothes only the rich can afford, enjoy hiding Easter eggs, little nods and winks for the people with eyes to see, either to signal their friends, or because they know people are watching, will react, and will eventually cause a media frenzy. Although this one went really far and seemed to work out poorly for the company, it still could have been a publicity stunt. What do you think of the ad campaign? Was it over the line, or are people well within their right minds to be upset over this?
Alright, you guys, so that was the Balenciaga rabbit hole is deep, man. Yeah, nah, they into some sick stuff, bro. I can't even finish my sandwich while watching this. I was like, Jesus, man, I didn't know there was. Ugh. But y'all let me know your thoughts about, Balenciaga, all that, you know what I'm saying, down in the comment section down below, man. Or the video just in general, you know what I'm saying? Other than that, go ahead, leave a like, just below the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new so that way you can join up with the all-star gang up in this thing. And I'm going to catch y'all in the next one. 100. Boom!
She turned up, she turned out. Yeah, she turned. Hey.
The glow is surreal, can't tell the time. The blinding lights, oh no you could even faze me. I came up from none, so I stay down until I rise. Thank God for all he gave me. I look over oceans. She said, why you leave me on? I know you don't deserve me. We got icy cold, we were once to Albuquerque. Did me wrong, you don't deserve me. She said that you don't deserve me.
Yeah, goes down in the bar. Girls all flashing, now I'm down.